Hello, this is Gerald van MUS with some small demonstrations of letter combinations as formations. There are two versions of this video. This one is the short version. With some demonstrations of some letter combinations that show words in the opposite direction. And I will start with two words with su and ending with us. And these words as a demonstrations are sun to start with the opposite that I could find that were most close to this. This is the word NUSS, or the German word for nut. So I will also show you nut and nuts to please you. And nut, also the Dutch word which means useful. And some versus MUS, another Dutch word which means sparrow. I will show you sparrow, and words that are lying near the MUS, which means bonnet, or MUS or mush as well. And the opposites will show you also that the words and the letter combinations have a meaningful combination. And they always show you this meaningful combination. And why does this meaningful combination exist? Simply because we act and react differently with other letters, and all the letters are a certain balance of how we deal with the word, with certain aspects of directions that we can see in the world, and how we name the objects and subjects with these letter combinations as such. And it is unconsciously this how this works, but in fact it works so easily and so fluently that we don't think about it. But it's actually not more than saying, like, okay, we have some letters that we can use for a concentration on things that are very clear and very nearby, and I act differently than to things that are a little bit further and further away, and where I need also the time aspect for it, because I don't see that I still start from it, because maybe it's already another phase, maybe it's already further, it's already moving away. So we act differently and we use different letters for it. If they are really at the far edges, we can't count on them as starting points. We can't count on them that we know where it's going to. So there we have to determine how well we can still deal with these aspects. And there are also letters about that, and I can talk forever about these positions, but each of these positions are fixed. But this is a short version, so I will go to the letters that I will use today. The foundations for today are with the letters U, which basically is giving you a choice how you deal with them, because it's like your main focus, your starting focus is dealing also with aspects that maybe I don't see everything, maybe some things will not work out. So I deal with it that there is a kind of dualism there. So that makes it, for me, gives it a slight freedom that I can say, okay, but I will choose some element that I can notice. So I know that I notice something, and I will go further from there. That's the choice that you make at that point of your starting point that has an element of that you don't know. The M, which you see also in the same category, is also still in the space that is nearby, and it is related with what is extending. So it is really going larger. It's enlarged in a way. It's an extension, and so you see that everything is getting bigger. And we follow the leads in words that have this M in that way. The N is in the next category, so we need the element of time for it. So it is something that is as a temporal use. So we only use it when it suits us, when we see that it fits, when the time is right, and all these kind of things. And then we have the letter S, which is basically at the end of the cycle. It's where we really don't have a grasp on it anymore, so we only look at the end effects. Will it still have effect? And that's what we will deal with. That's in very short what it is about. So we already started with sun, so we had the S was an end effect at the borders. We can no longer see where it comes from, but we can still sense what it is. And so with the U, which basically says, okay, I'll go for what I'm certain about, we will sense this. So the sa, what starts with su or su or sa in the sound then we will follow what we are sure of, what we know that we notice. We follow what we notice. We follow the effect of what we notice. Good example was sun. The sun with the S on the outside. The effect is also at the outside, but with the N it goes back inwardly. It gives an inner movement as well, where the processes are sensed then in a way. In a way, but all the effects are outside. Just imagine if I would go to the opposite formula, because every word and every letter combination is a formula. So the opposite formula will also be the opposite. Of course, the sun and the NUSS or the nut are not the opposites, but the forms or the frames are actually the opposite. And when you analyze them, what it is dealing with in these frames, it is also the opposite, and I will show you that. But first I'll show you the form. You can maybe already recognize it more or less. So this is the effect outside. Let's see if we can put all the effects inside and all the forms inside with the S form still outside, because there is no other option. Then we have, of course, another form which is inside, in which I have this U form. There I have some hidden usefulness, as you can say. This is in the inner center is everything actually present there. And NUSS, of course, is the nut, which you can see here. This is one of the kinds of nuts that you have. Or this one, nuts, and the letter combinations will be recognizable. The S is still outside. Within is this form which is going to press itself out with in two sections. It's this unclear destiny at one side, and this useful purpose at the other side, which is this dualism that is also there in the NUSS. But this NUSS or nut I can also express in English, so let's do that. I have here the expression as easily as I could. I have, of course, this what I can take out as the part that I can use. The T is what I take out the useful part. That's the focus in nut. I will take out the useful part. More or less explained. Okay, I can go deeper into it, but that's more or less what is associated as easy as in its most easy way. If I go to nuts, from nut to nuts, I will double its effect, and it will be a bit more difficult because there is already a contradiction inside with the we only can follow what we know. So what is the way to make it grow bigger? It's difficult. It will show off its useful parts, but which parts? So if you exaggerate that even further, of course you will go nuts, because there's nothing to grasp upon. Yeah, what is then what's coming out? Which direction is it going? It can go all directions. There is no order in these choices, and that can drive someone nuts, of course. So instead of taking something out in the nut, I can focus also on the sound first, and the sound, where's the and sound, it's in the middle, where I can split the things in two, and where I can also make these choices of what can I use, what can I not use. not use. And then, but we have, of course, from here we can also describe the nuts. The nuts is, of course, the S has to be at the outside. The is very small. So where is it? The nuts are here. These are the nuts. Hello, nuts. And when I exaggerate this as nuts, then, of course, I will have to amplify it and almost double it, and in the effect at the outside where I am. But this effect, if I'll go from this small section, it will only confuse me, because which direction shall I go? And it is undefined. This nuts goes all directions. Okay, but we missed a very important part if we looked at the scheme. So N means actually that I need time for it, and I will take my time before I will be able to use it. So that's the timing that you have there. In the NUSS, you have the top knot that I will say that you can even take out, because that's the non-usable part, and the usable part, which is inside, just like the U is mostly referring to what works inside, is now timed, and this timing is there. So when the time is ripe, the NUSS can be taken, and it can be taken out also, and will also be popped out is more easily as well. It needs timing. And the other part, I cannot use it, of course. So the nut, what basically is the nut. The T is what I can use, as I already explained many times. The N is what is inside, what I can use, what is inside. I take out after a time, after a certain timing. When the timing is right, I will take the nut out. And it reminds me of the Dutch word nut. I'll describe it here with the umlaut, with the double dots, to describe it that it's with the sound u, and that also nut is our usage or usefulness is exactly recognized by what it is, because the N is you wait to use it, to wait that you have the right timing. Once you have the timing, you go inside and you take it out, because you can use it. You can take out what is useful. It's exactly a description of the word. And here I describe it from the scheme. So when the T is in this first section, where you have the material, you can use the material, you have a basics, you have a foundation. Yes, I have a foundation. I have the material in the second section that I can use. T means use it. If you have it on the next frame, you also need the aspect of time. So I use it with timing to it. Is, of course, I will only be able to use it when the time is right. So, and that's when you follow it up in your consciousness with all these words that have this N to it. You will also follow them up. If timing is involved, you follow it up until these timings are right. So basically, N was depending on time. The U is you make the choice what is useful, and T you take out the usefulness, the useful association. With the S to it, it was a bit contradictory, because the T got you to the rightful moment where the time was right, for that the nut was there. With nuts, with the S, which goes again to the directions where you leave it to all the coincidences and all the associations that are possible. it doesn't give you direction. It's actually saying like, okay, all directions are possible, but at this moment there are no directions anymore that can drive you. That's the thing that can drive you nuts. Sun is the opposite. There the energy is not stored inside as a stagnation. You know, the energy is at the outside. It's inside the U. That's what the process is about, and it goes inwardly, as if it is describing also a chemical process that is practically working itself out inwardly and doing something with it. Oh, okay, let's go from sun to sum. Sun is also starting from su. We already described it like this. I had the sure part in the middle. The uncertainty was the part in red here, which is the starting point of S, which we can't see, but we can sense where it comes from. With the N, there was a possibility that, so it was about a possibility, opportunity, all these kinds of things. With the M, it is the multiple choice, all the opportunities together. So because the M is spreading itself like material to all directions, it is able to spread itself to. So we need all these sections all the time. With the N, it was already possible to express it with just one position or one element, or one idea or one association. With M, no, it's all the things at the same time to come to a conclusion. And it's not just like you can come to a conclusion by having one application. No, it is about all the applications together. And the M is this when it is. I will show it with a scheme also. Why this, where this is in the scheme, and then I'll explain you. Because the M is, of course, it's at the part, it's at the second part of where we have the categories of the elements that we can use. The second part is always about the material that we can use. So the T wants to say, I want to use it. L wants to say, oh no, I will, I want to use it all. And the M is, yeah, you can't help it to use it all because it's dominating. The M has to be, almost asks to be used because it's so dominating. It's almost too clear that you have to use it. That's where the M is there. But because it's the last letter, that's the effect we want. We want the effect that we want to use as much as possible. So we want to sense as much as possible. But the S also is at the last category, and that's something else. There's a determination there that we want to be sure that we have a good result. Because if we stand when we are really already looking at the results, they are unclear where they are coming from. They are unclear what the results are. They have a life on its own. So it's better that in the end, that where we come to our conclusions, that we also start from a very good, determined vision, theory, method that we use to make the estimation. Because on its own, all the blue, what I associate is with the blue category, the first category, are about estimations. These estimations are not always correct, and also, but we think that they are correct. But if it's the end effect of all what we might not have been correct with, it has a very big effect that what is not correct is getting very big. So in this case, if the S is the leading part, the determination is the leading part, the context is the leading part, and the end effect is the leading part, we have to be careful that our estimations are correct. So we better use a correct method that is predictable and not uncertain. We have to use certain elements, and there are many ways to do so. This certain element is, of course, what is dominating, what is coming out. So the positive parts is, of course, the most easy thing. But a sum is not just the parts, the most easy parts that are so clear that everybody sees them and everybody notices them. That's a sum indeed. That is correct indeed. But it also depends on you. There's an enlargement possible in this case. that you can also, when you have a very good description, when you can estimate well also the unpredictable part, you have also a definition that you can use, and you have a sum which is more detailed, which is more has more details, but it's still correct. We know it's still correct. That we don't only have here 5 elements, but you have 5 elements plus some in growth, and it's not just 5, it's a 4 point so on. You're more detailed because you have elements to work with. You have certain elements to work with, and that's what makes up sum. It's also a definition of not just counting, it's a sum of your a little bit of your intelligence as well, how deep you can go and what you're dealing with in the full context to make it correct. So at the outer frame, of course, we will determine results, and depending on what we use as a method, we will count the things in the sum differently. We can use just only the certain element, and we have here 5 elements. Or we can also deal with the full perspective and use it really as the estimation is now determined with a method. You have all kinds of sums in mathematics as well, which uses a good formula to make the sum at the end, so that you know what is the result at the end. So it's not just about counting, you also need with some good insight in what the context is, you can come to a more detailed sum of it all. Now, what is then the difference between sum and MUS? Can it be seen from our vision, how we see the world from this perspective, from it's far away, it's nearby, and so on? Can we make it up from the scheme? Yes, of course, we can do that. So we start here from what is far away, so from the unpredictable. We see then from our vision, as you see, that's the idea. We see U, so U is already having a doubt what it has, and this doubt will make a choice. In this doubt, we make a choice of the most certain part, and the certain part makes the multiplications. So it is increasing. You can see it. So it's best that you estimate these things, that your estimation is well determined beforehand, so that you really see the amount of elements which are really there. And that will show its real numbers. The opposite, MUS or sparrow, is the opposite. So it starts with numbers. It comes in numbers. The sparrows, they come in numbers with several options that are chosen from within and with its most effect. That's one of the characteristics of the sparrows, how they behave. It's not a full perspective of everything what MUS or sparrow can be, but it's already something that we can recognize, and that was already something of completely the opposite of sum and MUS. It was already an opposite logic that was used here. But I will go further. I will also go to the elements, how they are built up. Now we can make a form, and now we can make it make the form of MUS or MUS available. And it's slightly more difficult, but I will show you. There are a couple of options that you have. You have the M, so what is growing out, and the U, which is settled inside. So this contradiction there. The M with the U is already slightly performed there, but we have to have the S's at the end, at the edges. So we'll focus on that mostly. So we will have to work on these border effects where something is growing. It will be growing. It will be growing out of on these borders as well. I will use the form of S. As materializing from that border, and because of the U, I will have 2 options. I will have the leading part and I have the following up part. In a way, that's also the sparrow. That's also one of these characteristics of a sparrow. If you look at it, there's one bird which takes the lead, and the others will follow. It's also already available there as a form as well. If you perform and form it with the S's, you could do that, and you could have a couple of S's together, and you have already the form of the sparrow. Also, that will fit coincidentally. And then what will I do? I will put the S off at the right border, and will take one more to the inner part and repeat it as a follow-up, and that's also within the range of what is described in these letters. Let's do so. So the first S will be maximizing, the other one will be filling in, will follow up. It will be the same form, but I repeat myself 2 times, and I will be able to make the form as this. But of course, also there are 3 sections. So the letters, some of the letters are here, and other letters are here, and other letters are close by. So the U, where is it? It's inside. It's inside. So we have to have the U around which we form the starting point of the S, of the first starting point of the S. We have to narrow it down to a small center. There's no other way, so that's something we have to deal with. So here, when I already expressed 3 times sorts of S's together, they will never fit. I will never get that bird in that way, because it's too large. I'm enlarging it into a frame that is the frame of the secondary the second characters that I have in my scheme. I need to focus on the small scheme, and then I have this. When I put some improvisation, even with 2 times S, and put them into the inner frame, it will be very easy to make a form like the bird, as you can see here. And then, of course, I will add the extras, like the M. I will let it grow on top, and I will have a small part which is in its inner center visible as well. And I will end with the S, of course. That's so the MUS form. I will also deal with it. So the M on top and the U inside. The colored part up on top. The not colored part inside. It accidentally fits with the male sparrow. Is it a coincidence? Maybe, but I find some matches. So it's harder to have a different kind of bird with these frame of formula. It will be more difficult to have too many different birds in it, but in a way it already fits in. I don't say that this is the formula to make the bird, but you can make some associations that also works with that order of associations. Mostly when a behaviorism is experienced, this behaviorism is also in the form, and that is something new, which is hardly known, but it is also fitting with the form as the formula. So you have to discover the formula first. And now my investigation is this sparrow form as a bird as a word in English. Is that the same as MUS? Let's investigate. MUS, if I describe sparrow completely based, now very deliberately based upon how this bird looks like, I don't find much. So I immediately thought, okay, so that means that sparrow is based upon a different image of thinking, a different image of associating. So how does that come? Because when I really deal with sparrow and the directions in it, it needs at least the wings. It's starting from the wings. It doesn't start from a bird like that. It has to start from this kind of form. So this is not this bird here, MUS, is not a sparrow. How does it come? So I look up the word on image on the internet, And let's see if what kind of images I get for a sparrow, because this one doesn't fit clearly. And I immediately find a solution. The solution is the sparrow describes very much movements. The SP is it suddenly comes out SP. The RR is moving and moving again. The O is in the environment, and the way is the unpredictable after effect, let's say, of a whole all kinds of movements, and the way how this bird looks like, which spreads itself to all directions, and the R is also going in different directions. It gives you also the shape of a bird that can move easily to all kinds of directions, and that's what a sparrow is about. It was not recognizable in the fixed frame of MUS. But I think also, I can't be 100% sure, but when I looked up MUS and then I looked up sparrow, MUS more often got this silhouette from this bird. Sparrow a little bit more often got this bird. And the expression, what is expressed in sparrow, also is much more about movements and this behaviorism. MUS, when I designed the form, I focused mostly on trying to find the form. There's only one aspect that I slightly forgot, and that's the match with sparrow, which means that the basic form of the MUS inside is or was correct as a silhouette, but its behaviorism extends this form as well, and it extends itself to all directions. This S, which needs to be at the borders, and this S is the behavior of the bird. It sticks into one environment closely, enclosed in environments which are closed, and then suddenly it wants to move out, and it moves out to any kinds of direction. And that's more or less the same as with sparrow. Although sparrow describes also the bird how it is flying, MUS, it's not describing the word as it is flying. It's describing the bird how it is fixed, but it can find also a way out. That's more or less described in the word. There's a lot in just 3 letters that you can take from there. And when I go from here, I also recognize something which is a bit strange. If I can see here, I recognize another word. It reminds me of another word that comes to mind here as well. And that is, just imagine that I would leave out the S's a bit more in the background. So I will have a bit more focus on MU, ending with S. I will have the word MUTS. And MUTS is actually the MU that I take out, that I can say, okay, this form is useful. So I say MUT, and then with the end effect. How do I describe that in form? Very easy. This is the MUTS or bonnet. It's almost like this Christmas bonnet, as you can see. If I don't know if this is the correct translation, but that's how it looks like. There's another last word that is still associated there. It's the MUS. So MUS is or mush. You have it in English. So with MUS, the U is small inside. It's in a small center. U is bigger. It's getting to the O, the growing part. The A, the growing part, growing even further, go, and so on. So it's in the area of where everything grows, and that's where that MUS is lying, in that area. Inside is this form, the MO. This is form which is growing. But it's growing also in the sideways, in the directions, with the SF in the end effect. While it is growing in its environment, it also lives in space. It lives in air, and that's what it is. That's a mush. It is growing with some material in the air, in the environment, but it also leaves leaves equally much of space than material. So that's there's a kind of balance there that is also recognizable. So I hope you enjoyed this video. There were a couple of associations that you made it more easy to learn to recognize also what is going on in the letter combinations. And I already described in a very short way why this is so, why these letters are associated differently and how they come to a different form and a different association. And it goes also so automatically, but you can make it more conscious if you really want to. And I hope this video was a demonstration and a helpful tool to make it to make this happen. Thanks for watching. This was Gerald van Was. Yeah, short video, still not very short, but anyhow, thanks for watching. There's a website too with the demonstrations there. Thank you very much. Bye bye.